Through the first 2 weeks, Dylan Lonergan has shown that he has the tools to be the best quarterback for Boston College since Matt Ryan.
You are Locked On Boston College, your daily podcast on the Boston College Eagles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Locked On Boston College, your team every day. I'm your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, part of the 247 Network. I've been covering Boston College for over a decade. If you're looking for the news, analysis, and details on your Eagles, you are in the right place. Locked On Boston College is a free Boston College podcast available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. On today's show, it's Overreaction Tuesday. I'm going to explain why I think the defense is going to be okay. The run game, I'm not sure it's going to be fixed, and why Dylan Lonergan is going to be the best quarterback Boston College has had in years. I'll explain all that on today's show. But today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. So let's start this off. It's Overreaction Tuesday. This is where I find things about last week's game or the first 2 weeks' games and overreact to big themes that I'm starting to see. First of all, we got to start talking about Dylan Lonergan. On Monday, Dylan Lonergan was named ACC Quarterback of the Week. He threw for over 350 yards. He had 4 touchdowns. He's the second quarterback in ACC history to start off his season with 8 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. An incredible start and something I don't think any of us predicted, that this kid would be that good. Like we thought, and I'll say this, I watched him at camp. I thought he was going to be fine. But I thought game manager. That's what when I watched him and I saw him at practice, I'm saying, oh, this is a kid that's just going to be able to control the ball. And it's going to be about, making some nice passes. Dylan Lonergan, I said this at the top, is going to be the best quarterback since Matt Ryan. There is no way. There's no other guy that is going to come close when all is said and done. Watching him analyze the field, and the accuracy and the ball that comes out of his hand is incredibly unique for BC. What has been the big issue for the last 15 years? You've had a blip here or there where you've had a good quarterback year, where maybe Chase Reddick threw the ball pretty well or Tyler Murphy ran the ball well, but you've never had a complete game quarterback. You have one now, and you have a field general, and it is half of the game. This is why, looking at the future of BC football, you really should be getting excited. Yeah, there's issues right now, and we'll get into those in just a little bit. But when you have a quarterback that's already one of the best in the ACC, and you have him for 2 more years, you are in great shape. Because Dylan Lonergan is going to be special. He is going to make plays. And when I watch him out there, there's a few things that come into my mind. First of all, he is methodical to the point where those games that you had in the past, more under Jeff Hafley than anything, where you would lose because your team wasn't ready or they made stupid mistakes or whatever. Dylan Lonergan does not look like a guy that makes stupid mistakes. Lonergan looks like a guy who will make him. He's not going to be perfect. I'm going to say that right now. But he's going to be miles better than what you've had. And you name a quarterback, I can explain why I think he's going to be better. Even Grayson James last year. Now it is so abundantly clear why O'Brien went with Lonergan over James. James would be a totally fine quarterback. When we saw Lonergan in a boot, or was he hurt or whatever last week, people were telling me about, I thought, okay, well, we'll roll with James. We'll be fine. You need Lonergan right now. When you play a schedule that you have coming up, Lonergan is going to win you football games. I'm going to tell you that right now. Because we'll get into the defense and special teams in a little bit, but the big thing that you're going to be looking for is big plays. You're playing at home against some of these teams. You play at home against a Georgia Tech. You play at home against Clemson. Clemson looks very beatable right now. I'm going to say that. I'm not going to say BC's going to beat them, but they're not the vaunted team that I talked about during the summer that was like, you're not going to have a chance. They were down against Troy in the third quarter. You can beat them. You can beat SMU, who just lost again. You can beat, other teams on your schedule, Georgia Tech, Pitt. When you have a quarterback like Dylan Lonergan, because he's going to be consistent every game that you play. He may have a blip, maybe he plays against a tough defense and it's just too much for that offensive line and he struggles because he's pressured. That could happen. But when I'm looking at what he can do, he has good wide receivers, a tight end like Jeremiah Franklin, who has shown, what do you have, 8 catches against MSU. Like, you have the things that you need to do, and BC doesn't have to rely on the run game if it's not working. That's the thing that we'll get into, in part 2 is you don't have to. Because when you have Lonergan out there, you just use it to keep him from getting killed, basically, right? So I look at Lonergan, and I watch him read that field. Look at all the quarterbacks that have come before him. Darius Wade, Patrick Tolles, Anthony Brown, Thomas Castellanos, Grayson James. Honestly, not to knock those kids, and they all had their moments, and I'm obviously very thankful for what they gave to Boston College, but you watch them and watch what Lonergan can do. What's the big difference in the way this offense runs? It looks to me, as a former Patriots fan, it looks like watching a Patriots offense. Because you have Bill O'Brien and Will Lawing, who worked for Bill Belichick, and this is a Patriots offense. And, Mitch Wolf will tell you about all the schemes and all that stuff that looks very similar. But you watch that. You have guys like Lewis Bond, who's playing the role of Wes Welker out there. I know the joke is Luke McLaughlin, but it's Bond. Bond is doing that. He had, 11 catches? He's averaging 11 catches per game right now. He's Wes Welker. That's what you have right there. You have your Randy Moss in Reed Harris. And again, they're not the same player, but I'm saying style-wise, you know what I mean? Like that catch that Harris made last week and the first week and the end of last year, he's made probably 5 Randy Moss catches. Now, he's not Randy Moss, but he's that big wide receiver that can take your top off your defense. You have all those tools. And you've got, you have your tight end. I'm not going to compare Jeremiah Franklin to Gronk, but he does the same kind of thing, right? Like he can play, he's a valuable asset in the offense. So that kind of offense is going to get you wins. When you have a general behind that can read and make the throws and get them out, you're going to have a special quarterback. I'm not ready to say he's going to be better than Matt Ryan yet. I am ready to say he's going to be better than everything that's come since. Because Dylan Lonergan has impressed me so much in the last 2 weeks. And this isn't like a Tommy Castellanos where you take the good and the bad. Remember, 2023, he was a lot of fun to watch. Castellanos was fun to watch, but he also was good for what the heck was that turnover every single game? We have not seen that out of Lonergan yet. So I say, Lonergan, you have something special. He is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the ACC this year. Look at the rest of this conference. Cade Klubnik, he will be the best. I'm not going to say he's not. Cade Klubnik and Carson Beck are going to be the probably 1 and 2. But after that, Lonergan has every chance to be the 3rd best quarterback in this conference. That's absolutely true. So, in a moment, with Lonergan playing so well, why is it important that BC have a running game? I don't really think they do. I'll explain why in just a moment. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape ginger and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of a golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. Whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. I love playing golf. I have not played in a little while, but man, my favorite shot I ever made was shooting for my varsity team. I was at tryouts. I hit a birdie right in front of the coach. It was a moment I will never forget. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or chasing down the bev cart. Now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for up to to any 2 golf tournaments in the USA. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. Again, it's 5hewin.com. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. I love using FanDuel. Making 3 or 4-way parlays is my favorite way to go, and it's so easy to use. They have the most up-to-date odds, and it's the app is perfect. I love using FanDuel to make my wagers for college football and the NFL because they're all there. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app right now. It's quick, it's easy, and it's the best way to add a little more energy in Saturdays. Download the FanDuel app by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Locked On Boston College, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, and I wanted to make sure that all of my everydayers hear this. Thank you so much. We got our numbers for the month of September so far, and it's through the charts, through the roof. Thank you so much who made us your first listen. If you're a everydayer, thank you. You guys are all tremendous, and I hope you enjoy our show. If you ever have a thought, just shoot me an email, drop me a DM. I love to hear from you too. All right. Now let's get more into Overreaction Tuesday. Dylan Lonergan. We already talked about him being great. The run game, still not hitting. And I want to say something. It's okay. I think what you have from your run game is just, if you could tweak it just a little bit, I think the run game is exactly what you need. I'm not saying BC needs to go air raid. They're not going to be an air raid team. I know some people are saying that online, and it's like, no. You still need to run the ball a little bit to keep the pressure off of Lonergan and to get the play action to work. Turbo, if you looked at what he did for that game, he averaged 4.1 yards per carry. That's fine. Get up to about 4.5, you're in good shape. So really, as he went along too, there were moments where he was getting, especially when it got later in the game, he started getting going. So I think you don't really need to completely tweak the run game. The way this offense is going to work is going to be different than it was last year. Remember last year, it was a lot of play action, heavy run, and then usually it was either a big pass or a big run. I don't think it's going to be that way with the run game this year at all. I don't think you're going to have those. Remember last year, it was like Kai Robichaux would sneak out and he'd have like a 30-yard run. Or Jordan McDonald would barrel through for 25. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that. And that's okay. Because you have a quarterback that is a surgeon out there that is just carving up defenses with his arm. As long as he can continue to do that with what you're giving him, you're going to be okay. So just a small tweak is what you need. Just having those, having Turbo being able to get 4 or 5 yards here and there, I think is going to be fine. I think it was Skip McCarty, who writes for Eagle Insider, sent me a DM that maybe the offense needs to have a pass to run ratio that's similar to what Steve Logan and Jeff Jagodzinski had in 2007. Now, that was a year where you had Matt Ryan, and it was 65. It was about 65-35. I think it's about what I would expect moving forward. You're going to have defenses that are going to be better against the pass, and that's going to be tough. I think of Notre Dame. Notre Dame has a good defense, just period. But can you just rely on your passing game against that secondary? It's going to be tough. But I look at every other team on that roster that's played so far, and I still think, I really do believe that Lonergan's going to be able to do what he wants against most of these defenses. You have a good enough wide receiver crew. The offensive line and pass pro has been pretty good. So, again, you don't need to have this dynamic run game. Obviously, you can try at practice. Here's kind of how I see it. Try it at practice. Keep working on it. Let it come out during the game. And if you are just finding that Turbo or Jordan McDonald is just running into a pile of men and it's just not opening up, move on from it. Just go back to using it to set up the pass again. So you want to play both sides of the football. I get that. People are going to text me and DM me and tell me I'm stupid. you really didn't have to run the ball effectively in the first two games. You did a little bit more last game. It still wasn't great, but fine is what this offense. This is really, if I was going to describe what the running game needs to be, is okay. That's fine, I guess. Like not fine, like that was fine. No, like that's fine. That the difference in tone of my voice there. Like that's kind of what I'm going with here. I do believe, also as part of this, that Turbo Richard is the best running back that BC's had in a while. Like just complete wise. Like he had 7 catches against Michigan State. Like he's very good in the pass game. He's physical. He can run. If you ran out there, Bo McCormick or Alex Broom right now, they would be getting killed. I'm just gonna say that right now. They're not big enough and physical enough to do that. Turbo's the guy because he has the blend of the speed you want from a Bo McCormick or an Alex Broom, but the physicality that you definitely need that like Jordan McDonald has. So until they figure that out, he's going to be your guy. You're going to see, I would imagine you're going to see less and less of Jordan McDonald because he just, with the way that this run block is going, he's not hitting the holes the way he did last year because it's just not there. That's not on him. It's just he's a bigger guy. He's not super fast, so he can't just go out there and just find things because it's just not there. So I would love to see Turbo, continue to work with that. Mitchie on yesterday's show had an idea that if the run game continues to struggle and there's more penalties, you try Michael Crowns at center. Would that open up the middle too? That's something worth monitoring, and we'll have to hear more about that and keep our eyes open on against Stanford and Cal coming up. But I look at this offense. As long as the run game isn't like negative and 1 yard and stacking them up at the line of scrimmage, it's going to do what it needs to do. It's going to open up the play action. It's going to make Dylan Lonergan have those holes that he needs, and you'll be okay. I would love to see them be more productive, but I don't think it has to happen. I still think you can win 7 games plus without a super effective running game. In our final segment, I have a thought on special teams and one on the defense. I'll give you my overreactions to those in just a moment. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stand, there's nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel more of a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping out of a checkpoint. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. I love that their app is super simple to use. I can see exactly where my seats are going to be before I even purchase them. And they have great zone deals, too. Pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save big. So open up the app. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege, LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go download Game Time today. This is Locked On Boston College. I am your host, AJ Black of Eagle Insider, and thank you all who made Locked On Boston College your first listen every day. If you're looking for a second listen, check out Locked On ACC with Kenton Gibbs and Alex Dono. They'll be having another squad show. I'm not sure if I can make that one, but they're always a lot of fun. Check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Now, let's look at 2 more overreactions. That's me. If you guys have followed me for years, and my everydayers know, I have big reactions to everything. If you're listening for a show where it's like the offense is average and they're going to do okay, this is the wrong podcast for you. You know I come out hot sometimes, and whether you agree with me or disagree with me, I'm going to tell you how I think of it, and that's where we're at today. Now that defense, here's my thoughts. The big issue with BC's defense against Michigan State was their tackling. Without a doubt, they just struggled to tackle. They had 15 missed tackles, which was the same number, by the way, that they had against Michigan State last year. So it wasn't like this drastic difference. I think that O'Brien and Tim Lewis is going to fix the tackling problem. They had this issue last year. The tackling issue is not a new thing for BC. It popped up, but remember what happened. They fixed it. I believe it was the Missouri game where BC came out and they were struggling to tackle. If you were all watching that, and many of you were on Twitter going, "Fire Tim Lewis, I'm done with this team," or whatever. This is an embarrassment. It's pathetic. After that, most of the games after that, BC was much better in tackling. There's too much talent, especially in the secondary, for a guy like KP Price to go out there and miss 2 tackles, which he had in that game, or for Carter Davis to struggle like he did. They have the talent. They're going to work it through. Lewis, O'Brien, they'll get them back on at least that point. That being said, my other overreaction is I'm really worried about the pass rush. I really am. They did better than I expected against Aiden Childs, but I still haven't seen it yet. And I still don't know if they have the horses to really have an effective pass rush, and that could be an issue. Because when you need a go-to guy to go after that quarterback, right now your best option is to blitz. And Tim Lewis loves to blitz. He's almost 50% blitzing last game. But it would really be nice if you had one guy, and right now it's not showing. Quintavious Hutchins had a really good second half of that game, but we need a full game from him. That would be a good start. But my big overreaction is I just don't see it getting better. And honestly, this is something I kind of alluded to during camp. I thought they got better, but I don't think they're as dynamic as they were. They're obviously not as dynamic as they were last year. So I don't see the sacks coming unless they blitz. So the big thing for the defense, I think the tackling will get better. I just don't see the secondary fixing things. And then special teams. My big overreaction is we're going to be tearing our hair out all year. It's going to happen. The special teams unit, I appreciate that they have a field goal kicker now. And Luca Lombardo, much credit to him for being nails for the first 2 games. He looks good. That's great. Punting, yeah. Seamus Florio averaged 43 yards per punt last week. He had that shank, but again, remember that was to draw them offside. Too many men on the field. He was just they snapped that fast so they could get that penalty. He looked fine, but there's always something. My big overreaction is you're never going to have a complete game on special teams. Something's going to happen every single game. Michigan State didn't have that on their side. That's the thing that drives me crazy is you watch the Spartans and you watch most other teams and they play clean special teams. BC could not. Well, actually, I should not say they played clean special teams. You're probably going, AJ, what about that fumble? Yes, there was the fumble. But most teams that you play against are not going to make big mistakes that are going to hurt themselves. I think BC just is going to have an issue here or there, whether it's letting punts go over their heads and get down to the 1-yard line over and over again, or bad coverage on kick returns. Something's going to happen that's going to make you go crazy every single game. And I don't know if that's coaching. I don't know if it's personnel. It's maddening, to say the least, but it just seems like something is going to pop up every game. Now, you can fix a lot of this. I have proposed if your kick coverage is as bad as it sounds, or as inconsistent as it sounds, you can do what you did at the end of the last game. They did adjust to that, which was kick it short to one of the off guys and make them fair catch it over and over again. That worked. That was a good thing. But your other option is to have Andy Quinn go back there and just kick the living heck out of the ball through the back of the end zone every time and have them start, with a touchback. You could do that too. That's one big thing. In terms of the punt returns, I want to say, Isaiah Ferris has been really, really hot and cold last year. He was crazy last year. His big issue last year wasn't letting him bounce over his head. It was that he would catch everything and then get killed. Remember that. There was a couple times where he caught the ball and there was a guy, flying at him. And he showed no fear and just kept, he would keep taking it. And you're going, he's going to get hurt or fumbled. He's a question for me because I don't know what the staff sees there. Like Matt Turn, for instance, the special teams coordinator, much maligned by the fan base. He said when I went to practice, there were 6 guys I watched returning punts and kicks. Turbo Richard, Lewis Bond, who I get you don't want to play either of them because you don't want to get them hurt. Cam Martinez, Bo McCormick and Ned Bolden were at least some of them, and there was others too. He always says he picks the guys that make the best choices. Unless they taught him to do what he was doing last week, I don't know how Isaiah Ferris, who has a history of fielding punts he shouldn't, and not fielding punts he absolutely should not be. He should be fielding. How that's the best decisions, because it's killing your team. That were 2 drives that were basically turnovers. That's how you have to view that. When you start at the 1 yard line, it's basically a turnover. So you got to be able to figure that out. And I don't know. I just assume we've seen BC's history. We know what they do. That we're just going to be tearing our hair out from the special teams all year long. On tomorrow's show, we're going to continue to dive into the upcoming matchup against Stanford. I'm still looking for a Stanford co-host for a crossover. We don't have a Locked On Stanford, but I'll find somebody. Thank you all for listening. You can follow me on Twitter at AJBlack247 or Instagram or TikTok or Blue Sky or Threads or Facebook. I'm everywhere. Just whatever your favorite social media app is. Look up Locked On Boston College, AJ Black or Eagle Insider. I'm there. Come follow us. Get all your news, your BC updates. Follow us on YouTube, especially. I put shorts on that and on TikTok if you want to see like stuff if a big news event happens, or check that out. And we'll see you all again tomorrow for another episode of Locked On Boston College, your team every day.